Welcome to the Wellness Transformation Journey podcast. I'm your host, Pamela Peters. I hope you're having a great week, and I hope your wellness journey is going well. If not, continue working at it because it does get easier and it does get better. As you progress through your wellness journey, you'll find times when your body and your mind will feel overwhelmed by the constant focus of getting your lifestyle on track and pointed in the right trajectory that you want it to go. This is not uncommon. I hit these plateaus, I hit these situations on many times through my wellness journey. As I've talked about in previous episodes, when we can get so focused on every aspect of our life choices, we may forget to enjoy the moment. We spend so much time focusing on whether we're eating right, are we getting enough exercise, how much sleep are we getting, that sometimes we need to give ourselves a break from focusing on every aspect of the journey to let ourselves go so we can relax. So taking a break is essential to relaxing, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this in today's episode. Like most people, I regularly find myself overwhelmed and frustrated, often because I'm focusing on my plans and goals. I also struggle with mental health issues related to anxiety, and when my schedule gets too full and everything is planned out for me, it makes me stressed and extremely anxious. There are points that I can get my schedule so full that I even schedule relaxation time, which for me is problematic that I'm having to schedule time to relax. And so I have to adjust and just really try to focus on my physical and mental health and leave the other things behind for a little bit. When I get to these points that I become so stressed and consumed with my work and lifestyle that I begin to forget what's important, then I kind of take a step back and reevaluate things. So for instance, a few months ago I was preparing for a race, which made me extremely focused on my exercise and food consumption along with my bedtime. The week after my race, I became consumed with losing a few pounds of weight that I put on during training. I was also extremely busy working at things at work and working long hours at work trying to get the end of the semester done with my students. And beyond that, I was going through a medical testing period to potentially be an organ donor. All of this combined was causing me to have a lack of sleep, high anxiety, and it began causing me to have a lot of frustration. Going through months of constant focus and lack of sleep became exhausting. Over the semester, I could feel my stress building, especially when it came to work. And high stress at work, at any job, can be a problem, but since I work closely with students, losing my temper, getting frustrated with the students, it's just not a good support for the environment for me or the students that I'm working with. Fortunately, I didn't reach a breaking point, and this is learned from past experiences where I knew I needed a break, I knew I needed to check out, and I personally kind of put myself in essentially a timeout to take a break from everything. It could be different for others, but in my case, when I feel stress building up, I become exhausted and anxious. I try to fight against myself while trying to maintain composure and put on a front around others. As an introvert, being around people is already exhausting. It becomes harder when I'm not in the right headspace, so that's why I have to learn from experiences in the past so I don't make the same mistakes. When I find myself in a situation where it feels like life is overwhelming or I need to think through what's going on, I take a breath, take a break, and I try to kind of reassess everything and see what's important and what needs to wait. Often this not only means taking a break from work, but stepping back from other things as well. I take a break from focusing on and obsessing on my diet, exercise, and schedule to avoid being consumed. To take a break, I find something else to do, and if it's possible, I try to remove myself from my regular day-to-day situation. During this last time, I had to travel for my donation testing, and then I was going to spend some time with my family. So I decided to use this time to take a break from focusing on my schedule, obligations, and everything else that was consuming my life. And trust me, this was not easy for me to take a step back. Instead, I focused on myself by taking a break from my schedule, teaching responsibilities, and my diet. Understand this was only for a weekend, so it wasn't a long extended thing that I could do in the middle of the semester. But this was an opportunity to give my body and mind time to rest and reset. Sometimes a break or vacation doesn't need to be planned. It doesn't even require that we go somewhere. When you feel yourself consumed, checking out from the day-to-day schedules as much as possible may be all that we need. Originally, I planned to take a trip and stick to my schedule, but instead I took a break. I didn't set an alarm to get out for workouts. Instead, I slept until my body told me to wake up. When I did wake up, I would go for a walk or a run, whatever my body told me was best. I didn't go overboard on eating, but I enjoyed some food that I normally wouldn't eat, like ice cream. I went out for a nice barbecue dinner in Kansas City, and I had cake and I had a donut. Things I normally wouldn't do, but it felt good. And guess what? It was a great thing to step back and reset my mind. It was extremely refreshing. I have similar problems when I go on vacation. I can get so consumed with sticking to a schedule that I get myself in the same kind of patterns that I can at work. While I do plan certain aspects of a trip, I try to leave time to relax. I've learned this over years of traveling. This isn't really something I'm good at, but I try. I want to get as much in as possible because I don't want to miss anything, because I don't know if I'm ever going to be back to that place again. On a recent hiking trip I took, I had to tell myself to take some time off and to listen to my body. I was hiking 15 or more miles a day, and my body was getting tired, plus my toe was blistering, and I eventually actually lost the toenail. I was intentional about taking some time off during this time to relax by the river in the park that I was staying in each night, and not worry about hiking, not worry about getting the miles in, not worry about getting my photography in. I just sat by the river and relaxed. You see, no matter what you're doing, sometimes you need a break, even from what you're doing on vacation. Even when you're doing something fun, your body can get exhausted and you're constantly on the go. This can eventually take the joy out of what you're doing. So it might not seem like much, but giving myself the space to not worry about my wellness journey was what I needed. There are times we need to step back from focusing on our wellness journey. What this actually does is it supports our journey by giving us a chance to allow our body and mind to change, to reset, and to take a break. Because changing your lifestyle can be a grind just as much as going to work or doing other things in our lives. It's natural to think something is wrong if you need to take a step back from your wellness journey, but don't panic. If you need to take a break and reset, do it. It might actually be what you need. Taking breaks allows me to get back to focusing on my schedule and obligations with a few modifications to support my body and mind. If you're feeling anxious or overwhelmed, do yourself a favor and take a break. It's not the end of the world, and it will probably actually do you a lot of good to reset, refocus, and evaluate what's most important and what you need to do now. Until next time, have a great week.